Hello virtual art students. In this video I'm going to talk about acrylic paint and give you some project ideas. First off, what do you know about paint? What is paint good for? What don't you like about paint? Something to keep in mind is that paint is very messy and hard to control, but that's what makes it fun. Remember that art doesn't have to look like a photograph. It can be how you see the world, so don't stress about trying to make it look perfect. Enjoy paint for what it is. In this demo, I'm going to use acrylic paint. Acrylic and tempera paints are very similar in the idea that they work well for mixing, and they can be applied to canvases, heavy paper, cardboard, metal, fabric, wood, and other objects. The main difference is that acrylic paint is shinier than the chalky tempera paint. And there's lots of different kinds of acrylic paint. You'll experiment and eventually find a brand that you like. I prefer to shop the clearance sections actually at my local craft stores, just to get a variety. So for option 1, you're going to need a canvas or heavy paper or cardboard and masking tape. And similar to those chalk drawings that I've been seeing a lot of, you're going to grab the tape and play with it so it's not as sticky, and then stick it on the piece of paper and add several strips to it. Maybe you can make a design with the tape. Then add your paint to the sections. Don't be afraid to experiment. And then go crazy, paint it. Mix colors. What else can you do? Once you're done painting each section, let it dry. You can tell that it's dry when it's not so shiny. Then carefully peel off the tape. To take it to the next level, you can grab some Sharpies or pencils or more paint and add designs or patterns on top of it. Or you can add a picture over it. Option 2, I use contact paper instead of tape. I come up with a silhouette or an outline of a figure that I want, and I carefully cut it out of the contact paper and stick it on to my canvas. Make sure that ends are down. Then I grab my paint and I work on overlapping and mixing the colors and blending them together. Make sure you get the sides of your canvas if you have them. Then I begin to experiment by adding different textures. For example, you can paint on bubble wrap and make sure I use similar colors so that my textures won't be as noticeable. Okay. They're more subtle. Okay. I use bubble wrap, I use a leaf, you can use stamps. What other things do you think you could use around the house that create texture to your painting? When I'm happy with it, I peel off the contact paper and I have a silhouette. Now you could paint this black or outline it with Sharpie and you'd have a beautiful picture. Or you can keep designing that silhouette and paint it in. First I outlined it or drew it with pencil, and then I grabbed some colors that I wanted to use in white and black, and I made different tints and shades, or I mixed black and white together. And I slowly just began painting it layer upon layer. And I added more and more details and lines, overlapping the colors. I even took my end of my paintbrush and made different little feather-like little marks with the tip of my paintbrush. Another method would be to get detailed paintings. First, start with the outline of what you want to paint. Then I added a base color. It doesn't have to be what the actual colors are. And then I began mixing my paint, making tints and shades, so mixing white and black with the color. And I slowly added one layer after another and kept building up and mixing the colors until I was happy with the image. The more shadows and highlights that you have, the more realistic it's going to look. I would then continue keep working on this painting and adding more and more details to it. So what can you create with paint? Do you want things to look more realistic or abstract? I can't wait to see what you create.